Welcome into the very first edition of the Water Cooler Podcast presented by Skol Marketing. I am your host, Hunter, accompanied by my colleagues, main man, Drew Coolum,
That's
and
me.
Abe Fortier. How you fellas doing today?
Really good.
Good.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah, so the idea of this podcast is to take bite-sized segments and really just dive into the world of marketing. We at Skol Marketing are at the forefront of digital marketing. It is maybe the most quickly, rapidly advancing field out there. And so with this podcast, part of our goal is to stay on top of those trends, talk about it, and give you guys just bite-sized bits of advice and cover topics that are near and dear to your hearts and on your brains. So starting it off in the new year, this is not only our first podcast, but the first podcast recording of 2026, which is crazy to say. We're going to start it off with a very hot topic in the world of marketing, and that is the campaign rollout for A24 and Timothée Chalamet's Marty Supreme. This was a unique film, guys, in many different ways. Not only is the film itself emblematic of that classic underdog story, the likes of Rocky and other great films in the past, but the marketing campaign behind it was something that we have maybe never seen before, especially from kind of a contemporary film studio with this guerrilla marketing tactic. Mm-hmm. And tactic isn't even the right word to use. It should be tactics, because there are so many different ways that this movie was advertised, from the studio itself to social media. And of course, the ringleader, the lead man, Timothée Chalamet, taking off in his own supreme way to promote this movie, to keep movie theaters alive and show some love for indie filmmakers like the Safdies. So I want to get started with what you guys took away from this campaign. What was the most interesting part of it? And did it make you go out and see the movie? Abe, why don't you start us off?
For this movie, they took a different approach. I feel like in the past, you see celebrities go on Hot Ones, or they do the typical like movie circuit interviews that you'll see pop up on YouTube. But I feel like Timmy really took this approach where he was almost acting like the movie character in interviews, but like also the interviews he was in was more, you know, he would go on Drewski's show or do like an interview with Drewski, which is definitely very more Gen Z. And he also would do the music video with that British rapper that like
Kid.
Yeah, where like online, like if you're like chronically online, people are always like, oh, that guy looks like Timmy, or is Timmy that rapper? And he was like playing into that whole bit where he was like playing his character from the movie and just like playing into all of these like internet bits and theories and like really used that to his advantage. And that kind of sparked my interest in the marketing and the movie.
Yeah, it was almost like method acting taken to another level because he was already in the part before the movie. Well, obviously it was already filmed, but before the movie was released on Christmas Day, Marty Supreme Christmas Day. Schwap! I would say the Schwap piece and the spoof interview was like the funniest thing ever. I was audibly chuckling. And I remember I was giving you guys my play-by-play as I was in like 4 minutes into the video. I was like, are all these people from A24 just so lifeless and corporate? And why is Timmy trolling all of them? And then like right after that, he's talking about painting the Eiffel Tower orange and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, this is a bit. And but it worked really well.
It worked well. And it built so much engagement around these clips and videos. Like if you looked at the comments, it was just people being like, is Timmy serious? Are these people serious? Yeah. Like, is Timothy like this in real life, or is he doing a character? Is he doing a bit? Like there was so much engagement about this tactic he was doing. And I don't know, it really was impressive to watch.
I think it's so interesting how he blurred the lines of the character of Marty Mauser and Timothée Chalamet. He was at an award show last year and gave an impassioned speech about how he's truly in pursuit of greatness. You know, he doesn't necessarily want to be satisfied with just being, you know, a good actor. He wants to go down as one of the greats. And I feel like that was fuel to the fire of this whole campaign, that this character, Marty Mauser, is in pursuit of greatness. He goes to hell and back for the pursuit of his goals and to win ping pong glory, or table tennis, sorry. And that is truly emblematic in the way that Timothy is acting. And it got me thinking, like, this might have only been able to be pulled off by Timothée Chalamet. He's someone who's respected, someone who has the chops to back it up in acting. I mean, think back to like, I don't know, 2008, right? You know, Christian Bale plays The Dark Knight. He's Batman. Great actor. Nobody's going to dispute that. But it would have come off as pretty corny if he was walking around the streets going, I'm Batman. You know, with Timothy, it's so effective because it's so believable. And Drew, to your point in that Zoom call, you can't even tell that he's acting there, right?
Yeah.
It just seems so natural. And I think maybe the most vital part of this is that the movie itself is definitely geared towards younger people and chasing their dreams. And I think that he, at this time and place, is like this perfect emblem for doing that, right? Like he embodies the spirit of Marty Mauser. And so when you see him on the screen performing as this character, it does blur that line between, is this real, is this fake? And you're just enthralled with this man's pursuit of greatness. And I think it's absolutely stunning to watch on film.
One thing that I definitely extracted from the whole campaign was just how authenticity is like greater than, you know, the most refined sort of marketing, because a lot of it feels more like found footage or like artifacts that, you know, you don't typically see being pushed to the media by some of these like bigger names, like even Oppenheimer. You know, they're doing the highest production value trailers, you know, with that's super cinematic, but he's really, you know, grounded and goes with his own personal roots, which is super refreshing. And I feel like definitely captures the hearts of a lot of, you know, the younger generation nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I think you see a lot of celebrities go on talk shows and do their, you know, again, their press junket interviews. And I feel like the whole goal of these interviews is to make celebrities seem like they're relatable, where you
right.
you think that they're being themselves in these interviews, but they're actually not. And I think people, especially younger audiences, are starting to see that and not relate to that. Like they can see the corporate kind of film grain or filter over that, where Timothy, he truly just went like kind of balls to the wall and was like, this is going to be truly like, he's like, I want to be the greatest actor ever. In this movie, he wants to be the greatest table tennis player ever. Where like you believe him, like you believe that, God, this guy really wants to be the best actor ever, and he's going all out for this marketing campaign for people to see this indie movie. And it really worked, again, especially for, I think, this younger generation of people that are diehard Timothée Chalamet fans, but also they will show up to see an authentic piece of art, I guess.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments from this whole campaign was that video he filmed on top of the Sphere in Vegas.
Oh my God.
I believe this is what it was reported as, is that he was the first person to be on top of the Sphere. For sure, the first one to promote a movie on top of the Sphere. And of course, the effects of the Sphere itself looked like the orange ping pong ball, which is synonymous with the character in the film. And it's just him on top of the Sphere saying, Marty Supreme is a film made in America and you can see it on Christmas Day. Very simple. But the shot that is used for that, where it's zoomed in on his face and then it takes you away and shows you the entire Vegas Strip with the Sphere, you get a scale just like how grand this experiment is. And to be honest, like in an era where, you know, this decade, especially post 2020, there's been a lot of discussion about, are movie theaters still relevant? Are people, you know, still going out to see movies rather than streaming them? Are theaters dying? And I feel like this is like this grand effort to motivate the masses, especially young people. Again, the core theme of this movie is young people and inspiring them. And just to see that sort of stunt and effort and love that went into this just makes me want to see the movie more.
Yeah, right.
And honestly, I think I got a lot more out of the experience seeing the movie, knowing the depths that the people who made it went to, much like the characters you see on screen who go to hell and back to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, I think it's also a really good lesson on prioritizing curiosity over clarity, as I feel like it revealed only the right amount where it like drove people to be like, what the hell am I like about to watch? Like you knew that Timmy was about to play ping pong and that's about it. You know, otherwise everything else just felt like so underground and culty and, you know, like a streetwear brand, like very exclusive. I mean, you saw like Tom Brady, Frank Ocean, they're wearing like these Marty Supreme jackets out of nowhere. You're like, what the hell is going on? And I feel like that is something that is just like so effective in marketing nowadays, especially for the younger generation. Playing into that like childlike curiosity is really cool.
Well, yeah, and especially like you think about the character of Marty Mauser as well, and he's someone who wants to be known as one of the greats. How perfect is it that Timothy got, the greats? Like you said, Frank Ocean, one of the music greats, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, to represent this movie. And I loved the design, and I feel like it probably came from Timothy himself, where he would have a photo of these people wearing that jacket, and then it was like a pencil scribble, dream big. Such a simple message, but it's so perfect for this film and this marketing campaign.
As if Marty Mauser touched it himself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, it's so cool. Also, I saw that the resale value of those jackets on like Grailed and StockX is $5,000 plus, which is insane, and I almost bought one.
Makes sense.
Imagine having your hands on one of those. That'd be crazy.
I want to get into how this is emblematic of the filmmaking style of Josh Safdie. We've seen Uncut Gems in the past. This is a movie that has been described as an anxiety attack. It is full throttle. It's like being stuck in a Las Vegas slot machine for 2 hours, basically. And I feel like the filmmaking style and the media presentation of this, where it is like a film of excess and energy, is so perfectly captured in this physical way by Timothée Chalamet, both in the marketing campaign and on screen. You guys think that this was a successful marketing campaign for the sport of table tennis?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as someone who has seen the movie, the first thing I wanted to do afterwards was play ping pong. And it also just like made me nostalgic for playing ping pong with my friends in like one of my friends' garages for like hours on end.
Yeah, honestly, the what was it? The underground ping pong tournament that he hosted. I can't remember exactly where, or who it was.
Might have been Brazil, I think.
Yeah, was it Brazil?
He did one in Brazil, I think. Yeah.
Like that sort of environment, and just all these people that were exclusively invited and just chilling, playing ping pong was super interesting to me. And I wish that I would have gotten an invite in the mail, like a Hogwarts letter.
I think the fact that the sport of table tennis is at the focal point is so perfect for this role too. Like, I don't think Marty Supreme would have been the same type of guy if he was playing a more flashy, romanticized sport like football or basketball, right? Like, if Marty Mauser was hooping, we've seen that movie a ton of times, right?
Yeah.
Like this underdog story in this very popular mainstream American sport. But the fact that it is ping pong is sort of like an added layer to this character. And I almost feel like the sport of ping pong itself, I keep bouncing back between ping pong and table tennis, but I almost feel like that sport itself is like the perfect analogy for him because it is more niche. It is gritty in its own way. And his whole desire is to take this kind of underground, to use that term, sport to the mainstream. You know, in the movie, his whole goal is to travel the world and spread the popularity of the game. And, you know, not only go down as one of the greats, but as someone who elevated the popularity of the sport. And I just don't see that working with another sport. It has to be something kind of niche.
Yeah.
And that is like so ingrained in the fabric of who Marty Mauser is. And I think it works so perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like it had to be some deep cut paddle sport. Like badminton probably could have worked too.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see Timmy, you know, slapping around the shuttlecock a little bit.
That's a super interesting perspective. And I think you're right on the nose.
So I found this quote while researching, you know, the marketing of this movie, and I thought it was really interesting, and I think says something bigger about like marketing in general and like how to approach marketing for maybe even just your business. But the quote is, movie marketing is shifting from promotion to participation. So basically, I mean, what the quote means is talking about indie movies versus like Marvel or Star Wars. Like, how do you promote like an indie movie, even though it has Timothée Chalamet, who's very famous, but like, how do you get people to care about a movie about table tennis from the 1950s? Like, that isn't super attractive. But I really like this quote because their marketing campaign was really about participation, where they had, you know, underground table tennis events that you could go to. You could go see like the first 30 minutes with Timmy at some theater in New York. They had merch you could buy. They had all of these different campaigns online, like getting people's engagement. So what do you guys think about this shift from promotion to participation, and maybe how you could even use that for your own business or clients?
Yeah, that's a really great point. And honestly, think of all the free press that they got just in the comment sections on all the social media platforms. Like they had all these reoccurring motifs like dream big, or even just Marty Supreme Christmas Day. That's my favorite one. It's just, that is the repeated quote that, you know, just stuck with people. And you see it all over the place that, you know, it just became so approachable and so catchy in a sense that, you know, people are just talking about it, which spreads exponentially if you think about it.
I mean, it's interesting.
They did a great job.
I mean, they did such a good job because I personally felt, I saw the movie on Christmas with my family, which is...
You saw it Christmas Day?
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that I went and saw Marty Supreme at 9:55 at night on Christmas Day. But it felt like I was participating in something, and like participating in this movement. And I just felt so energized after the movie to, you know, do something big, to chase my dreams. And it was such a wonderful way to start, you know, to continue the holidays and start the new year. But I mean, it is impressive how they were able to achieve that. And I could definitely see more movies doing more things like that. And again, it reminded me of the Barbenheimer kind of movement, where it's like, okay, like that felt so like something I wanted to participate in, like as an audience member, as a human being. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how movies and just marketing in general moves forward with this, especially with the guerrilla tactics.
Well, I think that's perfectly emblematic of the target audience for this movie of Gen Z, right? Like, we are creatures of comfort. We have the world at our fingertips with our mobile devices and technology, that in order for us to be motivated to go out to a theater, to go participate in this experience with other people, it has to stand out. And Abe, I know you brought this up earlier, but that Drewski video is like the perfect representation of what this is, right? Like, they did the Drewski, it's basically like a play on American Idol type thing, where people will come up, try to do a performance and try to, you know, move on to the next round, impressing the judges, who in this term were Drewski and Timothée Chalamet. Not only is that like literally a representation of participation in this experience, but it also hits on a bigger thing where these people want to be a part of the influencer culture as well. And Drewski, being one of the bigger influencers in the world, kind of having his fingerprints all over this, I feel like took it to another level, where people who maybe aren't the biggest fans of Timothée Chalamet, like they haven't seen Call Me By Your Name or Dune, but because they saw him in a Drewski video and they saw that sort of like crossover appeal, it definitely opened up a lot of eyes to saying, well, hey, I want to be a part of this experience. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, if it got Drewski to dedicate a whole hour-long video for it, you know, it must be worthwhile. And so I think that is like the perfect way to get people of this generation involved.
For sure worked too. And I remember being in the theater. I kind of came in late, and I was like looking at the entire audience that was in there. And there were so many kind of young, teenage-ish, young college boys in there that I'm like, okay, I feel like these, I'm stereotyping, but I feel like these guys maybe aren't fans of Timothy from Call Me By Your Name. But like, I'm like, these guys look like they were like in the audience that was getting hit with a lot of the marketing, where I'm like, these kids look like they watch a lot of Drewski videos. So I was like, I feel like the marketing team really knew like what Gen Z audiences to hit. I mean, and it clearly paid off, because I think this was A24's most expensive movie, and they made all their money back and more at this point.
It was what, 70 million?
Yep.
I think there's also an element of the casting with this movie too. I don't believe Tyler, the creator, has been in any other big feature films like this. I know he had his fingerprints all over that animated Grinch from a few years ago, but him actually playing like a legitimate supporting role in this movie was kind of a fun Easter egg. Not only is his performance good and his character interesting, but sort of that recognition of someone who is like a titan of Gen Z and millennial culture being in this movie. And Abe, I think it's so perfect that you brought up the crowd there, because this isn't your typical art house film audience movie-going experience, right? Like, this is the type of movie that those type of people would love, but also can cater to, you know, your bros. It can cater to your parents. Like, it's truly for everyone. Although I will say it's pretty clearly Gen Z millennial heavy.
It did have what's his name? Mr. Wonderful?
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're over the age of 50, you know who he is.
Well, and that's another thing too. It's not like he's some big established actor. It's more so like, hey, he's the guy from Shark Tank. People have seen Shark Tank before. It's a familiar face. And, you know, not to take anything away from his acting chops, but he was kind of just playing himself. But yeah, it goes back to that theme of creating that experience, familiarity, and showing the audience something new. And I think they just did that so well.
Yeah, I think one other thing about the casting and a lot about the Safdie, I mean, this was just Josh Safdie, but I know the Safdie brothers as well. They find a lot of their actors just like on social media or like literally on the street will find people and put them in their movie. Like one of the actors in the movie he was actually a homeless man from a couple years ago.
Yeah, Ted Williams.
Yeah, and you know, he was like found because of his radio voice and he went viral, but like he was in the movie, I guess spoiler alert, but like and another actor was from like a New York Knicks video of someone, I don't know, but like they put so many actors in their movies that they just find on the street. But I think that's why the marketing for this movie worked so well with this like guerrilla style tactic, which feels very like tangible, like on the street, like it's rugged. It's rugged, it's gritty, it's just like something you can be a part of. You can see when you're just walking down I don't know, and it fit, like it worked really well. And I don't know if it would work for every movie. It definitely wouldn't, but like for the Safdie brothers and having Timothée Chalamet, it all came together and it was really impressive.
Yeah, like strips back all the socioeconomic boundaries that we've placed on ourselves over the years, and it just feels so down to earth and approachable. How I've liked to look at it, or just how I have been looking at it, is like it feels like a writer's room, but they took every single great, crazy, weird idea and just said, you know what? We're just going to do all of them. You know what I mean? It's not like let's stick with one sort of siloed campaign where we're going to, do a bunch of interviews across the world. It's like, let's just do the weirdest shit that we come up with and actually bring it to life. And like, I think about it, in this room as well, and just like all the ideas that we've created and thought of over the years and just like jotted down. And, maybe one day after we paint ourselves orange, that we can dream big enough and just like actually bring all those great ideas to life and just like see how those stick. And I really think those would be effective because it is authentic. And so when you're looking at this marketing campaign and trying to take it into your own court, basically the takeaway is that you can dream big and you can do those great ideas that maybe you would hold back in a room where you're like, is that too crazy of an idea to even bring up? And just say it and do it. And people are going to gravitate towards that because it's who you are and what you are. And at the end of the day, especially with, AI running rampant and robots all over the place, that people are going to acknowledge and appreciate and love you for your authentic self over anything that you try to force.
On that note too, I think the period piece element of this movie helps it so much. Like if Marty, I believe he's 23 in the movie. So if Marty was 23 in 2026, this movie would look a whole lot different, right? Like he did not have technology at his disposal. He was living in a crummy apartment in New York City. And really had to scrap his way to the top. And I feel like that style of character almost wouldn't even exist in today's world because things might be a little too easy. He could have used AI to help him with his table tennis techniques, or he could have used social media to promote himself. But instead, because he's in the constraints of the 1950s, he has to rely on himself. And much like the marketing campaign, these guerrilla tactics of getting himself to the top, getting himself involved in these tournaments, shaking hands with Mr. Wonderful and building these connections. It's such like a classic American dream human story. And I feel like that time period of the 1950s really helps it out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think that human authenticity has already peaked and is gone? Or do you think that we can rekindle that even with the tools at our disposal? Do you think that there's some sort of way, well, I can't say that we're going in retrograde, but like, is there a way to still become the most authentic version of our species?
Well, I think we see it with AI. I think there's a lot of people like us who view it as an amazing tool to help with our work and our daily lives. But ultimately, like we see through that and we recognize that at the end of the day, humans crave other humans. Mm-hmm. And I almost feel like there will be sort of a teetering point where AI becomes so prevalent, maybe we're already there, that people just really gravitate towards human stories and human connection. And so do I think we've peaked? No. I think we are about to, though. And I think that in the next couple of years, as AI continues to ramp up, you're going to see a shift back to old school handshakes and written letters and
Raw video.
conversations and ping pong and schwap. But yeah, no, I definitely think that, you know, as useful and as integrated as AI is into our society, there is definitely still a thirst for that human connection. And I don't think we're too far past the point of that.
There was one quote that I read from that Business Insider article that you guys shared from Jackie Brenneman, who is the president and CEO of Attent. Yeah, that doesn't matter. It does, actually. I'm sorry, Jackie. It does matter. But she said, if you can feel the labor, you become drawn to it. I think that's a good takeaway. If you can feel that there's heart put into it, then you're just like, I want to be part of it. I want to participate.
I mean, you could definitely feel that with the marketing campaign of this movie.
Yeah,
Timothy
exactly.
put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into
Like
it.
literal.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
And that's why you shouldn't use AI for all your social media posts.
And you should use us. We'll do it. We're authentic.
That's right. All right, fellas. It's time to wrap it up. This was a great water cooler session. Episode 1 in the books.
We did it.
If you're listening to this, thank you so much. Check out Skol Marketing at skolmarketing.com, at Skol Marketing on social media. Once again, I'm Hunter. We had Abe, Drew in here today, and we'll catch you on the next episode of The Water Cooler.